Up next, we're going to talk about a really bizarre story because apparently some people are blaming South Park, the comedy cartoon show, and calling on them and giving them backlash over what happened to Charlie Kirk, the horrific murder of him this past week in an act of political terrorism. Because, in case you've been living under a rock, a few weeks ago, or maybe a month ago at this point, I'm not exactly sure, Charlie Kirk was spoofed by South Park. They had Cartman play him, and he actually took it in stride and really appreciated their parody of him. He thought it was funny. He reacted to it at great length. He made his profile picture, Cartman, as him. Here's a clip of him speaking about that.
Okay, everybody, the South Park episode just dropped, and honestly, it is hilarious. I mean, part of it is kind of like whatever, typical humor, but it was hilarious.
So I gave Charlie credit at the time. He handled it like an absolute champ. He took it in stride. And actually, many libs were like so angry at the time. They were like, they're making fun of you. Don't you get it? Don't you get it, Charlie? And he's like, yeah, I get it, but I have a sense of humor. And that was like the best side of Charlie Kirk that I liked. So anyway, I, at the time, thought it was a great episode. I actually thought the episode was complimentary to Kirk in many ways. I mean, it at least at the very bare minimum, was an acknowledgement of his tremendous influence and impact, that he was named and spoofed on South Park. They don't do that to everybody, right? Like, even though they obviously poked fun at him in many ways as well, there is just a compliment to it itself. But now an episode was pulled from being aired as a rerun, and they're being hit with backlash over this now that Charlie Kirk was terribly killed. So here is the New York Post's reporting on this. Comedy Central pulls South Park episode mocking Charlie Kirk after assassination. Comedy Central has pulled a controversial South Park episode that parodied Charlie Kirk after the conservative activist was gunned down at a Utah college on Wednesday. The Paramount Skydance-owned network quietly removed the rerun of the episode, Got a Nut, from its cable lineup Wednesday night, just hours after Kirk, 31, was shot and killed while speaking at Utah Valley University. Instead of airing season 27, episode 2, in which Eric Cartman adopts Kirk's mannerisms and appearance for a satirical college debate podcast, Comedy Central slotted in episode 1 from the same season. The network did not issue a public statement, but confirmed to industry outlets that the episode was temporarily pulled from its cable rotation. It remains available to stream on Paramount Plus with a subscription. The Post has sought comment from Paramount Skydance. Now, the decision came as MAGA supporters raged online, accusing South Park creators Trey Parker and Matt Stone of helping fuel the hatred that led to Kirk's assassination. So, a brief thought on just this initial decision that they took down the episode. So, like, basically, on the actual Comedy Central station on television that still airs, it was slated to run as a rerun that night that Charlie Kirk was shot, Wednesday night, and they swapped it out. They put something else there. I think that was probably the right decision to make. I mean, we were still waiting to see if he survived or not, airing that episode at that moment. I can see why you would find that a little tone deaf and maybe just take it out of the lineup for that one night. It absolutely should not be removed from future circulation, though, or taken down to the archive or not aired as a rerun or anything like that. Charlie wouldn't even want that, first of all. He embraced the fact that South Park parodied him. He took it as a compliment, which in many ways it was. And then secondly, it's like, there's nothing about what happened that means it's not okay to poke fun at people. And South Park didn't do anything wrong. They shouldn't censor art just because of the actions of a madman. So I hope that they keep the episode up. I hope they continue to air it. Maybe obviously give it a little bit of time. You don't need to air it immediately during his funeral or anything like that, but don't take it out of the lineup. Don't cave to people yelling at you on the internet over this. They didn't do anything wrong. They never supported violence against him. They just poked fun at him. And if anything, I mean, some of the clips and the ways they portrayed him were almost flattering, really. So I think it is ridiculous to accuse them of doing anything wrong here or inciting violence against Charlie. They did nothing of the sort, and they're not responsible for the actions of some crazy psychopath somewhere. So I do want to go over some of these posts from MAGA-aligned people online attacking them over this. One person wrote in a tweet with more than 2 million views, hey, South Park, go F yourself. And this was on Wednesday after Kirk had been shot. Paula Scanlon wrote, I used to think the South Park episode making fun of Charlie was all in good fun, but it's not. Why is only one side allowed to be criticized? Why is the media, Hollywood, and entertainment so comfortable depicting right-wingers as Satan? Enough. So I like Paula, got nothing against her, but I don't agree with this take at all. Only one side is allowed to be criticized isn't really true, at least not when it comes to South Park. They mock everybody. They mock woke people all the time. And they didn't depict Charlie Kirk as Satan. They actually, I mean, they did depict Trump as in bed with Satan, but they did not depict Kirk as Satan. So even if they did, that is free speech, that is artistic freedom, and it is satire and parody. It is not an endorsement of violence, and they are not responsible for what other people choose to do. So I don't think that pushback makes sense. Another guy in this tweet went really viral, said Trey Parker and Matt Stone have blood on their hands. Remove South Park from all streaming services. So I did not know Charlie Kirk well. I talked to him a couple times. I can tell you, though, confidently that he would not want that and he would not agree with this. He would absolutely, as a person who dedicated his life to free speech, would not think that shows should be censored from television for making fun of someone if later something terrible is done to that person. That is not consistent at all with free speech. And the idea that they have blood on their hands for poking fun at someone. All right, then if something bad happened to Biden or Obama or Kamala, is everyone who ever made fun of them responsible with blood on their hands? Of course not. The only people responsible are the people who engage in violence or directly incite it. Criticism does not equal an endorsement of violence. And I actually think it's gross to go down this path, because when you say that the South Park creators have blood on their hands, you're assigning them some of the responsibility for the monstrous act. And there's only so much responsibility to go around. So you are actually taking responsibility away from the shooter. If they are 10% to blame for this, then that means the shooter's only 90% to blame for his own actions. That is insane. You are letting the actual villains off the hook to try to own critics or something. I think it's ridiculous. I think it's outrageous. But what do you guys think? Did you enjoy this South Park episode at the time? Do you agree with their decision to take it off the air? I really do not think that's what Charlie Kirk would have wanted. And honestly, regardless, I just don't think that should be done. And I think this backlash is much ado about nothing in terms of what South Park did wrong, which was nothing. Now, let me know what you think in the comments below. Make sure you're subscribed if you aren't yet, and hit that like button while you are at it. Up next, guys, we're going to react to a truly unhinged response to the atrocious killing of Charlie Kirk that we've talked about a lot on this show and this channel already, from a Republican member of Congress named Clay Higgins. Now, I'll start this with a disclaimer that I have some grace for people who personally knew Charlie and who were close to him. Of course, you're going to be incredibly emotional. You're going to be incredibly upset. It's normal to overreact to such tragedies like that. However, if you are a person in power, if you are a member of the United States House of Representatives, you have an obligation and a duty to your constituents and to the country to control yourself, to not succumb to your emotions and start lashing out and betraying your oath to the country in your emotional fueled meltdown. But that's what Clay Higgins is doing here. I'm going to read you this tweet. From his official government account, he wrote, I am going to use congressional authority and every influence with big tech platforms to mandate immediate ban for life of every post or commenter that belittled the assassination of Charlie Kirk. If they ran their mouth with their smart-ass hatred, celebrating the heinous murder of that beautiful young man who dedicated his whole life to delivering respectful conservative truth into the hearts of liberal enclave universities, armed only with a Bible and microphone and a constitution, those profiles must come down. Wow. So this is unhinged. Again, I have some compassion for people who are emotional because Charlie was personally close to them, and maybe that's the case with this congressman, but it does not matter. It does not justify you blatantly going insane and saying you want to violate the Constitution. Charlie Kirk went around on college campuses promoting the Constitution and the First Amendment. And the government cannot force social media companies to ban people for life because they engaged in disgusting. I've criticized it extensively, but First Amendment protected speech. To mock Charlie after his death, to say you're glad he's dead, any of that, as vile as it is free speech. It is protected by the First Amendment. That is just an objective fact. And for you to use your position as a government official to try to silence people, to try to get them banned from the internet because you hate what they have to say. I mean, this is like the textbook kind of censorship that in fact Republicans bash Biden for doing, because he would put pressure on big tech companies to take down posts that had COVID misinformation, which some of which turned out to be true, or other things that he disliked or disagreed with, memes making fun of his son, what have you. You're literally suggesting the same thing, but honestly even worse. And it is unhinged and a total betrayal of everything you say that you stand for, and also what Charlie actually stood for. And so I don't think it is a good idea to rip up his legacy of principles that he advocated for in a fit of rage over his death. I simply don't. And again, compassion for people who are grieving right now and had a close personal relationship with him. But if you are an important member of Congress, and this guy is a high-ranking member of the Oversight Committee and other important committees, you've got to get a grip. You've got to control yourself. This is not okay to do this. And I mean, the rest of his tweets actually more unhinged. So I'm going to lean forward in this fight, he wrote, demanding that big tech have zero tolerance for violent political hate content, the user to be banned from all platforms forever. I'm also going after their business licenses and permitting. Their businesses will be blacklisted aggressively. They should be kicked out from every school, and their driver's licenses should be revoked. I'm basically going to cancel with extreme prejudice these evil, sick animals who celebrated Charlie Kirk's assassination. I'm starting that today, that is all. This is insane. This is unconstitutional. You cannot engage in government retaliation against people because of their speech online, whether that's revoking business permits, revoking driver's licenses, any of this stuff. When you took office, Representative Clay Higgins, you swore an oath to the Constitution. You swore an oath to uphold it. Well, the First Amendment, it's number one for a reason, my dude, is very clear that people have a right to free speech, and that is a right to free speech without government retaliation. That is very clearly established in Supreme Court precedent and First Amendment law. So any of what he's talking about is blatantly unconstitutional. And I actually think it's the wrong approach. I really do. I think we should be letting these people show their ass, letting them let us know who they are and post what they want to post. It's their free speech. And then social consequences may come from it, sure. But government censorship is not the answer, and is absolutely not what Charlie Kirk himself would have wanted. I feel confident in saying that. And the replies to this tweet were brutal, because a lot of people pushed back on him. So Damon Toll, who's a lawyer who is more liberal leaning, shared a previous tweet from Clay Higgins that says, "I am proud to stand with Representative Mike Johnson and many of my Republican colleagues in defense of every American's First Amendment rights." Damon replied to this latest tweet from Clay Higgins with that old screenshot saying, "Thank you for standing in defense of every American's First Amendment rights, Clay." I mean, this is a fair point. You can't say that you believe in the First Amendment and then get mad and rip it up when a tragedy happens. That's not how it works. It's actually these moments that test our commitment to our principles the most. And if you don't stand for them in these moments, you don't stand for them at all. So MAGA commentator Bruce Fenton wrote, "You don't honor a man who stood for free speech by pushing censorship." And I completely agree. Fire's Nico Perino said censorship is not the answer. I absolutely agree. And then Project Liberal, which is a liberal Twitter account, wrote "This You" and shared a meme of Clay Higgins shared a post from Clay Higgins where he shared a meme making fun of the attack on Nancy Pelosi's husband. So he is a hypocrite. He has belittled political violence, made fun of it. So by his own logic, he should be banned and have his driver's license revoked. I don't know. I would certainly never support that, but it's already unhinged and unconstitutional. It's actually worse when you have done it yourself. Obviously, it's a lesser act of political violence. Nancy Pelosi's husband wasn't killed, but he was brutally attacked. And I don't think it's okay to joke about that or celebrate that. It's bleak. It's bleak right now, the discourse. And a lot of Republicans are losing their mind. And the emotion behind that is fair, but that doesn't justify it. And it doesn't at all change the fact that if we go down some of these dangerous paths that they're advocating from, we will be crossing a Rubicon in a way that all of us will come to regret. That's my take. You guys let me know what you think in the comments below. Make sure you're subscribed if you aren't yet. Yada, yada, yada. And we'll talk again real soon.